Beloved friends, today we celebrate Palm Sunday, which marks the beginning of the Holy Week, leading us to the great celebration of the Paschal mystery of Christ's death and resurrection. The celebration of Palm Sunday originated in the Jerusalem church around the late 4th century. Palm Sunday celebration began as a simple celebration consisting of prayers, hymns, and sermons, and a visit to various holy sites throughout the city of Jerusalem. The final site, of course, was the Mount of Olives, where the gospel narrative of the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem was read to the people by the priests. Then the pilgrims would return to the city, reciting, "Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord." Although this day is called Palm Sunday, it is only the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 12 to 19, that mentions the word palms, whereas the Synoptic Gospel talk of the crowd waving branches from trees and spreading their cloaks. My dear friends, Palm Sunday celebration as we have it today commemorates the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. Notice that Jesus' journey towards Jerusalem unfolds over many chapters in the Synoptic Gospel. But our reading today from Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, describes Jesus' final entry into Jerusalem and the final moments of his earthly ministry. Now, Jesus' entry to Jerusalem is a public event, and the Gospels describe it as a royal entry. He arrives in the city riding on a donkey, while the crowd spread their cloaks and palm branches on the street and welcoming him as the long-awaited Messiah and King. The event of entering into Jerusalem and the chants of the crowd, the Hosanna to the Son of David, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," re-echoes the oracle of Zechariah in chapter 9, verse 9, which said, "Exalt greatly, O daughter of Zion. Behold, your king is coming to you. A just Savior is he, humbled and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." In biblical times, some regional custom called for kings and important persons arriving in procession to ride on the back of a donkey. The donkey symbolizing peace, and those who rode upon them proclaimed peace in peaceful intentions. Thus the crowd declared peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven, echoing the song of the angels at the birth of Christ. They see in him the Messiah, the Christ, the King who is to come. On the other hand, are some Pharisees who are not impressed about what is going on. So they asked Jesus to caution his loyalists to stop the chant. In their mind, the crowd is ignorant or mistaken because the real power and kingship belong to the Romans. However, Jesus' response is revelatory. He says to them, "Even if my followers keep silent, the stones would cry out." In other words, Jesus represents the truth that is compelling and undeniable and cannot be suppressed. Besides, creation itself, including inanimate objects, remain witness to God's glory and power. Therefore, God's purpose will be fulfilled regardless of human opposition. My dear friends, today we have the advantage of reading the story in the 21st century. We not only notice the intention of the Pharisees, but also the motivation of the crowd who welcomed Jesus with exaltation. Knowing the whole story, we see that the crowd celebrated Jesus because of what they expected of him. That is, getting them ahead politically as a nation. Also, we read with dismay that when this expectation of political liberation was not forthcoming, they were disappointed and chanted a different tune, "Crucify him." Today, the question is, how different are we from these people? When we face trials or fail in our plans, when we get sick or go through different disappointments in life, where does our faith stand? It is so easy to accept Jesus, go to church, and be faithful when all is well. I have seen those who go to church with the sole intention for deliverance from sickness or to get financial breakthrough and other material benefits. But how quickly does their faith vanish when God does not play their game? The crowd and the Pharisees do not understand the kingship of Jesus Christ. They do not get it that he has come not as a worldly conquering king, but as a sacrificial lamb whose mission is to destroy sin and death and set humanity free through his own death. Hence, the drama of Palm Sunday portrays Jesus as the non-violent, innocent victim who willingly accepted death, even death on a cross. But why did God stoop so low? Why would he undergo death in such a cruel way? It is because his death was to be expiatory. Dear friends, Jesus' passion unveils the cruelty, injustice, and violence in our world. It exposes the hypocrisy, the betrayal, the abuses, and the infidelities of our society. To enter into the Holy Week with him, we need to reflect on the meaning of the cross, how Christ is present with the broken, the humiliated, and the marginalized members of our community just because he went to the cross. The cross of Christ is a sign of God's faithfulness. Consequently, if the cross is to assume the symbol of our faith, we must discover him present with us even when our situations do not change and our expectations are not met. And we must stand with Christ in transforming all sort of oppression in our world into freedom. May God bless you and welcome to the Holy Week.